In 2007, I fell in love. It started so gently. We set up dates, we spent time, and then all of a sudden there were morning obligations and evening obligations, and before I even knew what was happening, I was completely enraptured and I was changed. My name is Lulu, and I am an entrepreneur, and I'm here to tell you about how I fell in love with an idea and how it nearly destroyed itself and me in the process. At the very beginning of the Great Recession, I had decided I'd had enough. I was all set with being somebody's employee. I had tried all the things. I had been an educator for a national hair color company. I had worked in retail. I'd been a sales rep. It was time for me to be self-employed. But I did not see that recession coming, and I knew that I had something that I was going to be able to do with the right path. And it came to me. I decided that if I could take $400 that I had borrowed from my grocery budget, 10 hours a week, and continually reinvest into my own passions, I could do something really cool. I mean, I'm watching all of my friends spend hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars on college. What if I took the same type of focus and I gave it to myself? So we started small. It was this great photo pop-up business called Providence Pinup, where I chose to take old clothing, fabulous stylists, a whole lot of energy, and get together at various locations all over Rhode Island in order to create a beautiful, timeless image. It was crazy. I could not believe that in this moment in economic history, I'm standing here with a Barbie doll company convincing people that they should dress up in old-fashioned clothing, and I'm building a business. So it started as quarterly, and then it was monthly, and then it was weekly, and sometimes the year it was full weekends and sneaking in a weeknight, and it was just out of control. Morning, noon, and night. It was all about developing this business. I was well beyond my 10 hours a week. But 4 years in, my college time goal, it was there. The opportunity to merge my hairstyling business, which I was actively pursuing, plus my photo business, and if I rolled it all into one location, I could create this great, good space that would allow me to be more than just a hair cutter. Because I was more than just a hair cutter. I'm a photographer, I'm an artist, and anyone that works in a creative field is someone that wants to do more than just that one thing. I wanted to have a space where we could be more than just. So I made it. And it was great. And the opportunities were absolutely endless. I was invited to be on local television. We got great press. I was invited to work at the Institute of Contemporary Art in Boston, the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and I even got to participate in a performance art piece during the Whitney Biennial. I had a solo performance at the RISD Museum. It was absolutely dumbfounding to me that all of these opportunities were happening so quickly, and it made me feel so good. It was easy to do. So we opened this great brick and mortar, and 4 years in, I decided to remodel. And like a startup company does, you wrestle that furniture into a corner without really thinking about it. And I got a little bruise on my calf. A couple of days later, I ended up with the flu. So I'm hacking, I'm coughing, I'm wheezing, I can't breathe. So I choose to sleep in a recliner rather than driving my wife insane. But I didn't pay attention to the bruise or the spot on the leg lift that hit my leg, and I ended up with a little teeny superficial thrombophlebitis, or a blood clot. I was told that a little rest, a little elevation, a little anti-inflammatory, I would be fine. A few weeks later, I wasn't fine. The clot had spread through my entire leg, and it was threatening to become what's called a DVT, or a killer clot. So we added medication and some sexy stockings to the mix. A couple months later of more wait and see, and I still was not fine. And I learned that I have a genetic quirk. Great, I have a genetic quirk. Thank you so much that this happened with an injury and not a heart attack or a stroke. I had the privilege of having an injury at a young age that helped me see that I am genetically unique. But it also meant that everything had to come to a full stop. I left my doctor's office, I sat in my car, I sat up straight, I called the fashion designer I was supposed to work with, and I canceled working for her. I canceled the vacation I was supposed to leave for because I wasn't cleared for travel, and I bawled my eyes out. For the first time in my life, I had no idea what I was going to do. So I pushed, I rushed, I stressed, I diversified my business model. I grabbed an opportunity to expand my business. It all felt so smart because these were the last little moves that I had to do in order to have financial security. But boy, howdy, did I fail. It was awful. I never completed the remodel in my storefront. I made rushed decisions in hiring. I did all of the worst possible things that you could do when you're in crisis. So I took a breath, I undid what I had to do, or I undid what I had done, and I moved forward. You take a few knocks, you get your heart broken, you pay a few bills, you make your apologies, and you carry on. And much like with everything I've always done in my life, and like my fabulous British roots have taught me, you keep calm and carry on. I dusted myself off, and I got back to work. I took care of my clients. I pretended everything was absolutely fine. Of course, I told my story to those that would listen, but it was mortifying. And I was absolutely lost in depression. I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't function, and I find myself reaching for answers. And what I find is that I do well with research. I learned about this really wonderful concept that entrepreneurs view their businesses with the same part of their brain as parents do children. So you don't see the bad stuff, and all you see is the good stuff. And was it this love affair that made it so easy for me to build a business when everything else was so hard? I stopped and I considered the stages of grief. Was I mourning my body? Was I mourning the possibility that I was going to lose everything? Was I in denial that I had the strength to carry on? Was I angry when I made poor decisions? Was I depressed? Was I bargaining with myself that my last push could save me? So all that was left was acceptance. Now, the thing that I needed to accept is that I am who I am, and I'm really good at transformation. But the more I worked through this transformation, the more I recognized that what I needed to do was go back to how my heart felt in the beginning. My community was right in front of me. I had built this great, good space where ideas were happening and friendships were being made, and people were happy. I had been so lost in this love affair and the momentum of what I had the opportunity to build that I had lost my core values and my core ethics. So I decided to do the most uncomfortable thing of all, and that's to stand in front of a huge room and tell you all of my deepest, worst concerns and fears and failures, because we all must change. Every single one of us is going to reach a point in our lives where we choose to change a career, we end an education, we take care of a loved one, we have a baby. And that moment is going to create some of the most painful, devastating, intimate feelings that you have ever had, and it's going to be absolutely terrifying to tell anyone. But with good balance and good people around you, you can enjoy the sunsets and the friends and the family and the better balance that comes. And I hope that this terrifying moment serves at least some of you when you're ready to make a change. Thank you.